Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the character showcase for Fire Emblem Warriors, and today we're going to be looking at the third and last DLC character from the first DLC pack, and this is going to be Niles, a very familiar character, not because we've seen him before, although we have, but because his moveset that he has is exactly the same one that you'll find in all the other bow users. So the same as Takumi, Anna, Sakura, it's the exact same thing, and you'll actually notice right off the bat that there's not very much to say in regards to his particular stat spread. It's very middling. There's nothing particularly unique about it. Mind you, he is level 107, but then at level 99, I think he has one of the lower stat spreads out of all the archers. He has a high speed, which is great if all you want to do is stay in awakening mode, and high resistance, which is always welcome if you're going to be fighting against mages. But his stats don't seem like very much, but the thing is though, this could be very misguiding. He's actually still very strong due to the fact that he has Lethality as his unique skill crest. Lethality is the most useful out of the three new skills that were given to us, and I would highly recommend it on every single character on your roster if you can. And thanks to the fact that the Bond Charm exists, it's easy to get to that point in the game. So yeah, that's going to be the thing about Niles. He has the very familiar moveset. The thing that I've actually noticed is that his ability to use Lethality at the end of his Dual Warrior special, I don't know, it shows the animation, but I can't say for sure whether or not that's actually a thing and it actually works like that. But that's something that I thought was really interesting, because he does kill people fairly reliably with Dual Warrior special, so I don't know if it's actually Lethality being procced or not. But for those of you guys that don't know, Lethality, it activates based on the luck stat, and I would recommend this on everyone regardless of how high their luck is, just because it's free damage. That's all it really is. It's free damage for doing the stuff that you usually do. And if you get it, good for you. If you don't get it, that's fine. You'll still be fighting, and if you have armor strike, you should be breaking things anyway. But it activates whenever you try to use a critical strike, or if you try using a warrior special on them. So that there's plenty of ways to proc this. Again, playing like normal, especially on higher difficulties, this really does become useful. We actually won't get to see much of it because I put Plate Slayer on my bow. Niles' bow is his unique weapon, and just like with all the other unique weapons, you can use Slayer attributes on them without worrying about penalties, provided you have the true power attribute on them. As well, I also have his ability fully unlocked, so now he has 720 damage on his bow. So really, in terms of the stats, like, eventually it will reach a point where stats don't mean a thing, levels don't necessarily mean a thing, and that's kind of the same thing that holds true with Niles. There's nothing impressive about his stats. Actually, I'd even go as far as say that he has the worst stats out of all the Archer-type characters in this game, but it didn't matter considering that, again, he'll have a very powerful weapon at his disposal anyway, and he has a skill crest. That being said, all the same rules apply over here. Like, his Archer moveset is still very much in tow. If you want to build up meter quickly, he's very good for doing that. If all you want to do is just quickly build up Dual Warrior specials, then that's what Niles can do. Just the same with all of the other ones. He doesn't have, the massive Dual Warrior special potential as, say, Takumi, and we're going to assume that they both have the exact same damage on their weapons. Like, Takumi has the stats, like, with the highest skill in the game, which is great and all, but if you like Niles and you would prefer using Niles over Takumi or Sakura or Anna, it's like, it's very much a preference pick at this time, and I feel like this is going to be the trend with all the DLCs that we're going to be seeing in the near future. And what I mean by that is that we're going to be getting like two new characters, like in terms of movesets, two new movesets, and then a character with a moveset that we've already seen before. So I feel like that's going to be the case with Navarre from, let's see, Mystery of the Emblem. There's also going to be, or was it Mystery of them? One of an older Fire Emblem game. There's also going to be, let's see, like there's a very good chance that Tharja might end up being a Robin clone. I personally wouldn't mind that. I would understand if people were disappointed in that, but I just think that personally Robin has a very good moveset, so I wouldn't mind seeing that on Tharja as well. So that's what's going to be happening over here. Another thing about Niles, though, is that, yeah, he has one of the most useful skills in the game, and by far the most useful skill out of all the DLC characters. The reason why is just because, like, Lethality is, yeah, like I said earlier, something that you'll be kind of making use of anyway, and it's kind of the perfect way to sort of round out and optimize the damage of any of your characters, because, like, we're all going to eventually be on the same boat. It's just that each moveset takes you there to that same point of OP-ness eventually. So yeah, if you guys like the Archer class and you like Niles, then Niles is basically the pick for you. He moves around really, really quickly, as per usual. There's not really much else that can be said about him. I mean, I've already said before that I'm not a very big fan of the gimmick of the Archers. For those of you guys that don't know, the Archer gimmick is where you charge up your strong attack, and then if you fully charge it, you'll get a yellow gauge. But the problem is, though, that means standing still. And sometimes, though, the enemies will attack anyway, so you see over there the enemy attacked, and I end up getting the white gauge, even though I spent all that time. I would prefer something like the Tome users, where they're just constantly attacking and then building up that meter by playing the game, but we'll go ahead and do this. We'll have Ryoma create this white meter, and then finish off with this. So this is going to be an interesting thing. Like I said earlier, I'm not entirely sure. I would like it if someone could confirm with me, but there's no details whatsoever. But you'll actually notice that the animation for lethality happens during this, and I can't say for sure whether or not it's because lethality actually is guaranteed to happen during this, or if it's just a special effect that I'd want to put in. The reason why is because I've been doing it many times. I've been killing people very reliably while using a lower damage weapon. But that being said, though, by lower damage I mean like 240 damage, which is, like, you know, really, really high in comparison to all the other weapons. And then of course there's this weapon that I'm using right now, which is a whopping 720. So yeah, it'll be a mystery until someone's able to confirm it in the comments. I would really appreciate that. But yeah, same rules apply. It's a very interesting moveset in that it actually, like, it's because of its high damage that the Archer moveset tends to be a little bit more usable. I've always found that the Archer class has always been something of a support, in that they're never really taking the center stage most of the time. It's usually going to be someone like Ryoma or Camilla at the center stage, whereas occasionally the Archer would come out to do some damage. Of course, they're always going to be neutral on the combat triangle, so they're guaranteed to create a stun gauge for your Vanguard. But the thing about Niles, though, is that this time we actually do get to play the literal assassin class gameplay. So you see over here, I'm kind of looking at how many KOs I have. I don't even have to worry about KO count. So what I'm going to do right now for the rest of this video is go straight for the captains. That's all we're going to be doing. And yeah, we can do this. We can go ahead and break this. The combo 5 for the Archers is my personal favorite for this class, just because it hits so many times. It's perfect for building meter and catching large groups. As well, it's good for breaking meters. Now we have some Guardian Knights here. They're going to be pretty easy. Okay, Sita's under attack. That's fine. We'll gather everyone up here. Also, the thing about the Archer classes, I've noticed that they all have a lot of AoE for their dual warrior specials. That being said, every character in this roster does have high AoE, but it is nice though to sort of see them play up the sort of what's called high damage, high range attack style that the Archer should be getting. But again, like I said earlier though, it's like the ability to set up that damage takes a little bit longer in comparison to, say, I don't know, off the top of my head, I'm thinking like the Samurai moveset, which is just pure, unadulterated, single target damage right off the bat. Whereas with this one, you need to have that investment, you need to have better weapons, you need to have better attributes and skills packed into them before you can make good use of that. That being said though, it's still pretty good. And I remember actually, there was actually the bane of a lot of people's existence playing this game, just because in order to get the Solkati scroll, you had to play as an Archer. So that's actually going to be the interesting thing too. The thing about Niles is that if he appeared later, or sorry, if he appeared earlier on in the game, like vanilla version Fire Emblem Warriors, then I feel like he'd actually be considered very weak just because his stats are the lowest out of all the Archers, and you'd only use him because of his skill. But thing is though, we're playing him in the context of the DLC, and that's what makes him so strong though, is the fact that everything that could make an Archer stronger, you had to work really, really hard for that in Fire Emblem Warriors Vanilla, because, you know, everything was new. You had to start, like, divvying up your resources accordingly based on who you wanted to play as. Whereas with this in the DLC, it's kind of just readily given to you. I mean, like, it took me about, like, a grand total of, like, what, like 3 hours just to get all these things for Niles, and then leveling him up to, like, 99, and then bringing him up to his weapon, awakening its true power. It didn't take that long at all. So that's kind of the thing about Niles, and I think all the DLC characters moving forward is that everyone, again, I always like to say that eventually it'll reach a point where everyone's super strong and we don't need to worry about, like, oh, is it worth it to get this character first? Because with the DLC especially, they're all worth getting, they're all worth investing in. It just comes down to you and what characters you like playing. So if I were to really rank him on any part of the tier list, I'd still put him in, like, you know, the A rank, A minus rank maybe, if we wanted to be picky, just because, like, if we wanted to do it, like, on a big picture scale. But he's a very, very strong unit if all you want to do is play an archer, because he plays straight out of the box. Has all the good stuff waiting for him to unpack, and I think that's good news for anyone that just wants to play a very strong archer class character. Anyways, guys, that is going to be the end of today's Niles showcase, and that'll be the last for the DLC. I don't think there's very much else left to cover in terms of the Fire Emblem Warriors DLC, which is cool. Like, honestly, I'm very happy with the DLC. I just want to say that I'm very satisfied with all the content we've gotten for this pack, and I'm very much looking forward to the next one, because it's going to be Fire Emblem Awakening, and I was a huge fan of that game, so I cannot wait to see what happens there. Anyways, guys, see you next time.